So then I'm switching over to digital business models. Well, the standard textbook approach to classify literally anything is a 2x2 matrix, and so we are going to classify digital business models in two axes. On one hand, we classify digital business models in terms of the knowledge about the end customer. So what does it mean with knowledge about the end customer? We mean, well, do we know what the customer really needs? Do we know what are important events in terms or which are happening in the relation of our customers to us? Do we understand who our customers are in terms of demographics, and do we really know what our customers do with us? On the other hand, we display or we classify digital business models in terms of business design, which means, well, do we to which extent, to which degree does the business control well, decisions on brand, price, quality? So to what extent does the business control the digital user experience? Well, there are basically there's partial knowledge about the customers for the supplier, because the supplier is just owning one part of the value chain and basically supplies his services or goods to digital goods to another entity in the value chain. So the supplier doesn't have a real contact to the end customer. So here the knowledge about the end customer is just partial. This means that in terms of unique selling propositions or something, the supplier is not really suitable at this point, but the supplier concentrates on, well, low cost and incremental innovation. So at this part of the value chain, the supplier would try to minimize costs to supply his service to the next entity in the value chain. Of course, the value chain can be integrated into the digital business, so this is a more complete knowledge about the end customer. A typical example would be, for example, digital banking, home banking. Here the business has quite profound knowledge about the end customer, because the business provides a lot of services, or at least potentially provides a lot of services about the customer in a direct customer relationship. So typically via multi-channels. In this omni-channel business, the business knows many important events in the life of the customer relationship, and so this part of the value chain, there's a quite profound knowledge about the end customer. Well, we are not talking about value chains, but on the scale of the business design, we have then the alternative, which with much more control about the business design, which is the ecosystem. There can be a modular producer in such an ecosystem. So one example would be PayPal, which then occupies a niche in this ecosystem. It adapts to the ecosystem, but has only partial knowledge because of this niche position in the ecosystem. Then there's also part in the ecosystem with a way larger knowledge about the customer, which is then the ecosystem driver business model. Here you have a whole branded platform with quite complete and great customer experience, and you are a matchmaker. You are basically operating the platform, and you really can control who you bring into contact with the customer. One example would be, for example, Amazon. These are basically the important types of digital business models, and the application of that will be then presented by the colleagues.
Well, coming back to TOCA, in this transformation, TOCA is developing from being a supplier that is only part of the value chain and has only a partial knowledge of the end consumer to an ecosystem driver, where it has a complete knowledge of end consumer and is part of the ecosystem. And how does concrete mode, the new solution, help in this transformation? Well, being a core resource as a competitive advantage, as the Group 1 has explained us before. How being a valuable resource, a rare resource, imperfectly imitable resource, and non-substitutable resource. Giving some examples where, in the side of the consumer, concrete mode allows us to have a complete knowledge about the customer goals and life events due to that communication. It also allows us to introduce the voice of the customer inside the company, understand better the customer. It also allows us, allows DOCA to make decisions, evidence-based decisions, and it will help develop new integrated multi-products and also multi-channel customer experiences. In the side of the business design, concrete mode will be the first choice of our customer, will be the first choice of the market. Will allow also to make different partnerships and contracts with other suppliers of the value chain, or the complete value chain, and will also allow to make business transactions with other parties of the value chain, and will allow also to be compliant with all the regulatory things that the concrete industry must fulfill.
Next, we are going to explain about the phase of the digitalization and the development of the business model and ecosystem for the industry. Actually, there are three phases of the digitalization. Phase 1 is the digitalization of the machine itself. Second one is the digitalization of the machine environment. Third one is the digitalization of the business ecosystem. Please look at this figure. This is a digital transformation in terms of the industry. First step is isolated sensors. It corresponds to the phase 1. In this step, each sensor inside concrete is integrated for the measuring the constituent site efficiency. And in the second step is construction site efficiency platform 1.0. It corresponds to part of the phase 2. In this step, not only the sensor, but also the other equipment, for example, the truck and the crane, everything is integrated for the optimization of the construction site. This is a step 2.
Or step 2 still focuses on the individual construction site of phase 2.1 or 1.1 in this slide. Phase 3, which is step 3, which is still part of phase 2, concentrates on making use of the data we collect from multiple construction sites. For example, we carry that by USB stick, or we download it onto a laptop and carry it around with us. And we use the data sort of offline in order to learn from one construction site to another and make learnings from multiple construction sites. And then in phase 3, digitizing or creating an ecosystem for the data, we build a network which automatically downloads the data from the individual sensor from all our construction sites into the cloud. And out of the cloud, we take the data and analyze it. And this allows us, with the data, to find new applications of the data in that maybe the concurrence of certain events indicates a certain fault in the concrete that so far we haven't been able to diagnose.
Thank you. As the next step, we would like to understand the different layers of value creation and in the business model, and we try to understand how we could adapt the IP strategy onto the different layers. What we so far have is a physical product, and that's what we always said. that the physical product, we have a physical location and we try to protect the customer benefits, to create a sphere of exclusivity and to avoid that the competitors enter in this sphere of exclusivity. If it comes now to digital business, we add a number of layers in order to create additional value. And this is, of course, the sensors. We have the sensors, we have the connectivity, we do on the data we collect from the sensors, we do analytics, and on the top of that we try to offer digital service, which is then connected to the digital ecosystem. For our case now, for the concrete mode case, means that we have temperature sensors in the framework of the construction site, and we can, from these sensors, make analytics at what time the concrete is good, or the tension which has the concrete is good, and we can download it to the ecosystem or to a website. And we have handheld devices, we have websites, we have smartphones where we can access in real time these data. This means that we have the online information on the whole construction site, and we lower down the time when we can put away the framework, which is then the customer benefits. And this as well, we try to, with our IP strategy, we try to, of course, exclusify. And this is a basic model. And in the next slide, we try to understand how digital patterns can be written and understood.
So, as Andreas has just explained, the new system, the concrete mode, has given a new rise to a new business model. So the new business model, as he well explained, is comprised by several layers. They are layered one on top of the other. So we have a physical part of our system. So the physical product and the sensor, which will go now into the construction site. But we also have, let's say, a non-physical, a digital part of this business model, which is provided by the connectivity, the analytics, and the digital services, which are all connected together in this digital ecosystem. So, and it's because, as we saw earlier when our colleagues described the functioning of this new system, it is from the data that we collect now around the world in real time that we can actually use this data to create new customer benefits. And one of the benefits that, of course, didn't exist before and that we can now provide to our customers is the fact that we can provide them a lot of information on different types of concrete and the best way to plan the construction based on the different recipe of the concrete and the different temperature. So now all these aspects, of course, we will have a part of of course, the IP strategy will, on one hand, still relate to the physical world. So there will be still customer benefit that derive from the physical product, but the big part now is will be represented by digital patterns. We'll have to create a position to basically exclude our competitors from the digital elements of our business model. And so we have a double layer or a two-tier type of patterns that will relate to the different aspects of our new model. What we see is that, of course, now what happens is that also because we are expanding in new markets, actually in new areas, in new technologies, the pool of our competitors will also increase because, our competitors will no longer be only the competitors which provide physical means to the construction site, so the containment walls for pouring the concrete, but now they will also become the players in the digital system. So competitors, companies with which we never had to deal before because, we were on different industries, so we didn't even know they existed. Now they become our new competitors. For instance, the cement producer, because now we have a lot of information on cement and how it solidifies and sets, so they will become our new competitors. The building machine producers, and in particular the big data analysts, because now we are playing in their playing field. Thank you.
And in my slides, I will tell about the digital construction side and the importance of the digital data. Firstly, the quality of the concrete has the crucial importance. The outdated practices, or maybe we can say the traditional practices, such as paper-based reports or phone calls inside the construction site, make it hard to control the quality of the product. In traditional practices, knowledge is very person-specific. Therefore, digitalization is key to better quality. Here, the digital assistants, the application, could collect the data across the entire concrete construction process. By the data in the application, users in each step would make right decisions through the process. For example, the initial data is the temperature for each step. For each step, the sensors give the data of the temperature. For the first step, the mixing the cement and water and producing the concrete, the ratios is important, and temperature, also the weather conditions. And through the first step to second step, the trucks would use the maybe the traffic data, and they will use for the trucks drivers, finding the right pump is make some time efficiency maybe in here. And the most important parts, the casting, filling the cast with the concrete and make it to become harder. And in this step, the strength development should measured by maybe the engineers. And the final step, this is the controlling step, the strength and surface quality, also the temperature, the weather conditions, everything could be sent to the application, and each step the users will use this essential data, and it will help to get better quality concrete and save some time for the process.